Okay, so Stephen, 1976, Lindsay comes and says, Afghanistan. What did you know about it, and why did you choose it as a first destination for a foreign climbing?
The perception was that Afghanistan was reasonably accessible, the weather was good, much better weather than further east in the Himalayas, and we were led to believe there was very little red tape and it was quite easy to get there. You didn't have to do much messing around with ministers. Unfortunately that proved not to be the case, but the weather was stunning. You could drive up into the Wakhan, we could drive to within 2 days of base camp. And the mountains aren't too high. They're high, you know, they're much bigger than anything in Europe, but they're sort of manageable.
How did you get there?
We hoped to drive overland. That was the big thing, to drive your own vehicle. But as neither Lindsay nor I nor any of the other team knew anything about mechanics, it turned out it would actually be very difficult and expensive. So we went in a bus. Two of us went by bus. It was called Budget Bus. It cost £76. No, £96 I think. £96 one-way ticket to Kabul. And the other three, Roger Everett and Julia Yeomans and David Lund, they flew out and we met them in Kabul.
Did you ever feel you were on the edge of the world, the edge of civilization, and it was actually quite dangerous?
I never felt that Afghanistan was dangerous. Maybe that was just naivety, but I never felt in any way threatening. I thought it was the most beautiful place. People on the whole were friendly. The only difficulty we had was simply a mundane business of trying to find a vehicle to take us from Kabul up to the Wakhan, and it took several days to find one.
What people are going to be interested in is the climbing. How did you choose the area around the Noshaq massive? But I mean, what was there? What was to see? What was to do?
When I heard we were going to the Wakhan, I started looking at old Himalayan journals and so on, and I really was excited about going further up the Wakhan. There's some amazing peaks up there, and then it became obvious that Lindsay and Roger had already decided we were going to the Qazi Valley, but also that in fact you weren't allowed at that stage any further up the Wakhan. So the Qazi was really where we were told that's where we're going. So having realised that, we then looked at more journals, and we just realised there was this famous high mountain called Noshaq, which was a chance to attempt a peak of well over 7,000 metres, which was an exciting proposition. But also there were a lot of other smaller peaks, and some of those peaks were unclimbed, or certainly there were whole faces of these peaks which no one had ever set foot on. So that was very exciting, and I'd never done any new routes before, so my first new route was in the Hindu Kush. And that was very thrilling to be climbing up a rock chimney and think no one has ever been here. No one's touched this rock ever before. So that was very exciting.
Were there any objectives that you saw in '77 that you thought that would make a good objective?
Yes, and we did some very nice new routes, but I was looking at other peaks and thinking I wish we were here for another week or another fortnight, and that would be a fantastic climb. And there were several things like that. Which look very, very tantalising, and that's always the nature of the Himalayas. There's always something else that you wish you'd had a go at. And the rock varied, and some parts of the valley was sort of shaly, slaty stuff. Other parts it was this gorgeous red granite. So we had some wonderful rock climbing. Lindsay Griffin soloed a new route up a peak called Kopashtiyaki, a wonderful, great rock buttress. And he said the rock there was a bit like the rock in the Llanberis Pass in North Wales, a sort of rather compact, slaty rock, but excellent. So it's a huge variety.
Do you think Afghanistan presents particular opportunities for people in a particular phase within their climbing career? Is there something that makes it a good destination that's a bridge between two other types of climbing, perhaps?
Well, for us, the Hindu Kush was a good bridge between alpine climbing and really big Himalayan peaks, and Himalayan peaks with more difficult snow conditions and ice conditions and more variable weather. So there was a bit of a bridge in that sense. But you know, there's plenty of hard climbing to be done there. It's not just an easy sort of nursery. And interestingly, the famous Austrian climber Kurt Dienberger, I mean, his first Himalayan climb was Broad Peak, first ascent of Broad Peak, an 8,000 metre peak. And I think he then climbed Dhaulagiri, first ascent of Dhaulagiri, and then he went climbing in the Hindu Kush, exploring these much lower peaks. perhaps on the surface less serious, but still fantastic adventure.